Good evening, everyone, or good late afternoon. How's everybody doing? It's good to see. I always say good to see when I can't see you, but you can see me. I wanted to talk about charity. Now, I made a video at another point in time about the same thing about charity, and is it really charity if you're writing off on your taxes? And that's how I felt, and I still feel that way. And I was really looking a little more at it, and I wanted to look into the Bible and find some verses that were more poignant than just simple old me. And why I did that was something had happened at a donation place, and I was watching the gentleman try to donate a couple of chairs and a couch. And what unfolded was rather sad in my opinion. They denied the couches. First of all, they were in very bad condition, but they explained to the gentleman that they didn't have the space for it, they didn't have the room for it, but they pointed him to another donation center that could definitely take him. And he became upset and say, I donate all the time. Whether he does or not, I don't know, so I can't make that judgment. I have a feeling he doesn't. But he had threatened and says, well, if you're not going to take these, I'll never donate to you again, and I will never buy here ever again. Now, that struck me as, well, terrible, really. So you're not being charitable at all. And I thought that was sad. You just wanted to get rid of something. Now, it's okay that you want to or need to get rid of something. You don't need a coffee table, and instead of throwing away, like, hey, maybe we'll donate it to a thrift store or whatever, and that's great, but that's not a necessity. And the Bible actually says that you should not, and you really shouldn't be writing it off on your taxes, because it also says in Scripture to basically, they use the word alms, and that is basically giving and charitable, and you're supposed to not give it for men to notice. Well, if you're giving and you're being charitable and you're writing off your taxes, you have to write that down and be noticeable to people, and someone has to see that to write off on your taxes. So to me, it seems like writing it off on your taxes, even though you want to try to stick it to the government, I want mine, they owe me, all those things are not charitable at all. It's not biblical whatsoever. So, and there was, and I wrote a couple. I didn't write the verses, but I wrote down a couple of the locations, and I'll just random them off real quick. It's Acts 20:35, Matthew 6:1-4, Luke 21:1-4, and 2 Corinthians 9:7. Now there's many other ones too, but those are the ones that really stick with me in those particular ones. So I have a problem with people donating, and I know it's a tough one, because you want people to donate no matter what the reason being, but I would say you're not really being a charitable person in generosity when you are doing it out of necessity and you want it written off on your taxes. And I've said before, I will never donate, no matter what the amount is, high or low. Now, someone had mentioned to me one time, goes, I don't write it off unless I'm donating this much. So you do have a number that you want to be noticed for. I can't do it. I can't go against the Bible, and I won't go against the Bible. It says that, and that's not just Old Testament, that's New Testament also. So those of you who say, oh, that was Old Testament, no, that's New Testament. It mentions it in Old, but it really is specific in the New, and to the red letter in Jesus. So you can't tell me, oh, it was somebody else speaking because they thought they heard or interpreted. No, it's the red letter. So we can go with that. But charity has to be from the heart, and that's it. Not because you can get a tax write-off. It's a necessity for you because you get it out of your house. I'm not trying to be a bad guy here. All I'm just saying is understand what it is to be charitable. The moment you are trying to figure out what charity does for you, it is no longer charitable. So I just want to make that video because it just recently, as I watched someone, it really struck me as making another video about that. So charity and giving and the generosity, it's from your heart, and it's about doing obviously what's right. But when you're doing it out of necessity, and you're doing it out of works, and you're doing it out of the tax write-off, it ceases to be charitable. It becomes just about you, and that's not what Jesus intended, in my opinion, or even what he says he intended in red lettering. Well, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. And as always, God bless and have a great evening.